Hello and welcome back into Double A Baseball. Adam Oppenheim with Alex Hynes here on Wednesday, March 25th. Opening days here. Alex, let's go.
Finally, finally. It feels like yesterday that we were in November talking about, man, this is the start of the off season and let's see who ends up where. It's like that went by a lot quicker than I feel like it usually does. And it's still weird to have opening day at the end of March, even though it's been that way for the last several years. Give me an
Yeah,
April start time.
yeah. We got Yankees Giants tonight and then opening day tomorrow for a lot of teams. So we're gonna go over our division predictions for this upcoming season, the playoffs, who we have in the ALCS, NLCS, World Series, awards, MVP, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year. And at the end, we're going to do some bold predictions. So let's jump right into it. We'll start with the AL East. Alex, do you have your 5-1? We can just each read ours and then discuss.
Yeah, so in the East, from 5-1, I got the Rays in last. Just not really all that convinced. The Orioles fourth, need to see more. Blue Jays third. I got the Yankees second. The Red Sox one. I just really like what the Red Sox did in the offseason. They bolstered the pitching. I like Garrett Crochet, obviously a full season to Roman Anthony. I just am not buying the injury prone Yankee pitching staff right now, or the Blue Jays just didn't do enough for me, which I say every year. But this time they did something, but just not enough for me to repeat atop the division.
So I agree with you. I think on only two of these. So I have Tampa Bay in fifth. I think that's the easiest one. Baltimore
Yeah.
fourth. The top three could go in a lot of different ways. I want to put Boston at three. I just think in the regular season, it comes down to scoring runs. I think they'd be a lot better off in the postseason when it comes down to a pitching staff, which they have an excellent one. The Yankees at two. You mentioned the injuries. Their starting rotation is going to be a four-man to begin the year. That
And
doesn't
no
mean
Cole or Rodon to start,
that was my
notably.
very next sentence. So you are correct. No, you don't need to apologize or anything. But that's why I have the Yankees at two, and I have the Blue Jays at one. I still like what they have. They lost Bo Bichette, but besides that, I mean, they're bringing a lot of their same guys back.
All right, so going over to the Central, shall we?
Yep, let's do it.
This is one that I struggled with, and I don't know how bold my predictions are, to be honest. This could be really radical sounding. This could also be the most mainstream opinion possible. I don't know. I've got the White Sox in last. That one's not a real difficult choice. I have the Twins in fourth. They're both
Mhm.
going to be bad. I don't think it's much of a difference. Guardians third. Tigers in second. I've got the Royals winning the division. I really like the Royals this year. The Tigers are good. I think it's going to be a dogfight between the two of them. The Guardians, honestly, I could make an argument that the Guardians will finish last in this division. I'm not a fan of
Really?
the Guardians this
Wow.
year, but the problem is the teams below them are just so hapless that I and the Guardians' devil magic brings them up somewhere because they'll find pitching out of nowhere. So they're a perfect like middle ground team to where they'll probably end up just 500 at best.
I'll put the Twins in last. Put the White
Fair.
Sox in fourth. I think they take a step in the right direction this season. Cleveland, there's nowhere else to put them, in my opinion, in this division but third. If they finish last, boy, there's going to be some loud noise in Cleveland. And then I'm going to keep Detroit at one, Kansas City two. I still like what Detroit has. I mean, they have a great pitcher. That helps.
They do.
So
He's pretty
every
good.
5 days, you feel confident that you're going to pick up a win. So yeah, I have the Tigers in first place.
I think that's totally fair. Let's then go to the West. I've got the Angels in last. They're bad.
Yeah.
They know it. We know it. Everyone knows it. The Athletics in fourth. I like their offense. I'm just concerned about the pitching. I mean, it's Severino who's been meh and everybody else. I've got the Astros in third. I don't think they're going to be really competing atop the division. They've got a chance to do it, but I don't know. Rangers in second. I was debating putting them to win the division, but I'm going to have them second. I'm going to have the Mariners winning the division, and doing just enough to make the playoffs once again.
Okay, so mine's quite a bit different than yours. The Angels are going to be at 5. I think the Astros are going to finish fourth in the division. I think they could
I I could
really
see it.
struggle this season. If Jordan Alvarez gets hurt again for a big chunk of games, their offense is going to go way downhill. Not super confident in their pitching staff. I mean, Hunter Brown is obviously great. Um, but I just trust these other teams more, which is crazy to say with having the Rangers at third. But somehow I just feel like I trust the Rangers more. It's just a gut prediction. The A's at 2 and Seattle at 1.
I like the
The thing that
boldness.
really hurts me about the Athletics is their pitching staff is just not very good. But if they can score a bunch of runs, it'd be a really fun story. So
They could have the best offense in the American League. It is entirely possible. So
they're going to
I
need a
I
top three offense to finish top two in that division, at least.
and I think and that's the thing. That's where I think that's bold, but I don't think it's
It's not
impossible at
outrageous.
all. No, no, not at all. So off of that, I want to ask before we get into our wild card, what are the seeds looking like for these three division winners? Because now that we have the postseason the way it is, seeding your record does actually matter as to who you're going to play, whether you get the bye or whether you and who you feed into from the wild card game. So what you got 1 through 3 on these division winners, and then we'll get to the wild card.
I feel good about Seattle at 1,
I have
just
Seattle at 1 as well.
just because I think they're going to be the most consistent team. They at least I had the Blue Jays at 1. You had the Red Sox. I'm gonna go with the Tigers at 2. And then Blue Jays at 3.
Funny enough, we went the exact same direction, just with different teams. I have
Yeah.
Seattle 1, I have the Royals 2, and I have the Red Sox 3. So same divisions. I was worried about putting the Mariners 1 because I'm not really buying the offense this year as much. I'm not certain about Josh Naylor, even though he had a great, stint there after getting traded. They lose Eugenio Suarez. Without replacing much. Brandon Donovan is a great, glue guy to borrow a term, but he's not necessarily the biggest offensive gain. He is just a solid player to add to the mix, and you're then relying basically on Cal Raleigh and J Rod to carry the team and hoping that Arozarena and Naylor can do enough. But that's
I mean, you have 4 great starting pitchers, so
yeah,
that's what it comes that pretty good starting pitchers, I should say.
yeah.
And then
So
the bullpen's practically the same as last year, is it not? I mean, Brash,
I
Munoz,
yeah,
Zardo,
Spire.
Fire. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to the wild card. I've gone first the last 3 times, so why don't you lead us off?
The wild card for the AL.
The
Saying.
AL wild card. Let's go.
Um, Trying to remember what I had as my projection. I think I had the Yankees at 2, so I'm gonna have them being the first wild card, and then I think the Royals would be the second, and then trying to think the A's sneaking in there.
I like it. I like it. I've got the Yankees also as the top wild card team. They're going to be playing the Rangers in the wild card series. I've got them fifth, and I'm going the Blue Jays sixth. So I do think you get three AL East teams. That does mean that the Tigers are the ones that miss out. Them and the Astros are the two that kind of really miss out, which the Tigers are a tough one. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about them this
Wow,
year. Um,
that's crazy.
Again, I think they're going to be the first team out, but I don't know what to think about that offense. I mean, yeah, I honestly don't know what to think of them as a whole team. It's like they've got great talent at the top. It's just the question of can the rest of the team carry forward? And again, with that pitching staff, there's a lot of questions for me after Skubal, where they've got guys that can be good. Jack Flaherty can be good. Are you getting anything productive at all out of Justin Verlander at, 80 years old? It's just an interesting team, and I think I know what I'm getting from the Rangers, Blue Jays, and Yankees more, I guess.
There you go. You want to slide over the NL side?
Let's do a little slide over.
All right.
East,
Yep, let's go with the East. I'll go first this time. I have the
why not?
Nationals and last.
Really,
Yeah,
really.
that's a tough one. I want to put the Marlins higher. I just can't because of the team's bum. If you put them in another division, they would be higher. Um, Man, this is just an absolute toss-up. I'm gonna put the Phillies in third. I think I mentioned the last episode. Wasn't a fan of what they did, which was pretty much nothing, keeping the same roster. Give me the Mets in second, and give me the Braves in first, led by Ronald Acuna. Bounce back season.
See, I like it. I've got the same bottom two. I'll start with that. I've got the Braves in third. I am not a big fan of the Braves this year. I love Ronald Acuna. I think he's going to have a phenomenal year. That's something I certainly believe. My problem is that team is relying on too many bounce backs on the offense. I believe Ronald is probably the most likely, but Austin Riley, what are you getting? Michael Harris has been a tale of two halves pretty much
Hmm.
every year of his career. What's Ozzy Albies anymore? Matt Olson is going to be fine. And then on the pitching side, I mean, Spencer Strider just got announced that he's going to the IL. Smith Shawver's already there. Schwellenbach's already there. I mean, you're putting up like old Tampa Bay Rays level of
Hmm.
elite injured list rotations. And so what and Spencer Strider didn't really look good in spring training velo wise,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
concerning. So they've got a couple of really nice young guys that are available, but like there is an entire possibility that Grant Holmes leads this team in innings pitched, just with the way the injuries
That's
are working.
yes. That's
So
kind of
anyway, that's all to say Braves are in third. Mets I've got in second as well. I'm going Phillies, numero uno in the division. Um, I don't know. This feels like make or break for them. This feels like their last hurrah before age starts to catch up with guys. So I'm going to say they win the division one more time potentially before things start to inch downwards.
all right. Let's move on to the NL Central. I'll toss it back to you.
In last place, your St. Louis Cardinals. It brings me immense joy to say. Um, Reds, I want much like the Marlins, I want to put the Reds higher. I do like a lot of things they've got, but I don't know. The Pirates, I've actually got them ahead. I don't know. That's a toss up between those two. I think they're both going to be like at 500, maybe slightly above 500 if they're lucky. But yeah. Brewers I've got second, Cubs I've got one. I do think as much as I don't really buy a lot of what the Brewers have this year, they're going to find a way. They're again one of those teams that always do. And so I think it will actually be a pretty decent dogfight between the Cubs and the Brewers for the NL Central, just as it was at points in the last couple of years, though that was pretty exclusively the Brewers in a lot of cases.
Yeah, it was. It was, including in the playoffs. And last I
Yeah.
got the Cardinals, Reds. I'm gonna put the Pirates at fourth. It's like Fangraphs has them projected at 83 wins. I feel like that's gonna be hard to get to. Am I crazy for
Under.
thinking that?
I, I'm I'm not a big fan of the depth of this team. Again, I there's maybe Connor Griffin comes out and
But
is a
it's like this.
stud, but when he gets called up, but I mean you've got again top end talent, not much else really,
You added Brandon Lowe, Marcell Ozuna, Ryan O'Hearn. Those were your three additions to the lineup.
and that's just basically raising the floor of the team, but it's not helping your ceiling.
Yeah, I don't get where they're getting all those wins from. Like last season, this team won 71 games. So yeah, I'm gonna have the Pirates at fourth, Reds at third. I said this last year, and I might be wrong again. I'm gonna put the Cubs at one and the Brewers at two. I just think the Cubs lineup has a little bit more consistency. Obviously, Seiya Suzuki starting the year injured will not help. They lost Kyle Tucker, but they added Alex Bregman. So we'll see. I think it's gonna be a toss up between those two teams.
That's totally fair. Going on to the NL West, I'll start. Why not? I've got the Rockies in last. I've got the Giants in fourth. I don't love the Diamondbacks either in third, but I'm not buying the Giants either. I don't know. It's another one of those toss-ups. It's a lot like the Reds and Pirates, just like a slightly upgraded version where I don't really love either team, but they're fine, I guess.
Hmm.
Padres in second. I think they'll be comfortably in second. They'll be a really good team, a good team at the very least. And then the Dodgers are going to be number one. They're going to have the best record. It'll be B. smooth sailing for the Dodgers. I mean, it's basically what every single year's NL West has been for the last like 5 years outside of 2021.
This is the easiest division by far to
Oh,
go
yeah.
1 and 5. So you really just need to fill in the middle. So Rockies are at 5 for me. I'm gonna put the Diamondbacks at 4, Padres at 3, Giants at 2. Why not? Why not believe in the Giants? Um, yeah, I mean, I feel like they're a decent team. They're just far below the Dodgers, and it's not going to be close. So yeah, I have Dodgers at 1, who are going to finish way ahead of everyone else. So let's see the teams again. I'm going to have the Dodgers at 1. I think whoever team comes out of the NL East. I had the Braves, I believe. So they're going to be my 2, and the Cubs are going to be my 3.
Same deal, except the Phillies winning the East for me. They're my two. Same deal. Let's go to the wild card. I'll start. My four is going to be the Mets. I think they're going to be in a dogfight in the East with the Phillies. They're going to finish top one on the wild card. The Padres again are going to be right there as well, followed by the Brewers. I think it's all three second place teams. I think they're all going to be very close in their respective divisions, with the exception of the Padres, but they're going to be close in terms of like what an average team you'd expect in second place. I think the Braves are the first team out. The Diamondbacks also miss out. The Braves, I think, will do enough to get close, but I just don't. Again, I'm not buying them to actually be the competitive team that they were in the past.
I feel good about having the Mets as my first wild card. And then for my second, I'm gonna have the Brewers, and then third, the Giants. So that's who I have as my 6 teams. Pretty similar, but I like that we have a lot of differences. There's some years where it feels like we like discussed it before exactly what teams we have, and then just talk about it. It's like, all right, so what do you disagree with?
I think it is nice that we have two divisions, both in the East, that have three competitive teams, and we've got two divisions in the Central where there's at least some discussion about the top two teams. And in the West, outside of the Dodgers, the AL West is a lot more open. We've seen a lot more open divisions now that teams like the Royals, the Tigers, the A's, even the Rangers are consistently in the hunt to where you're not just saying, oh, well, this team's a guaranteed fourth. We've got guaranteed fifth place teams. We don't have many guaranteed fourth place teams.
And those teams are spending, and the key is they all have a star player.
Yeah.
So that's what it comes down to. And then you kind of build your lineup around them or your pitching staff or whatever. So, with that being said, we will move on from our division predictions to who we have in the playoffs. Now it's time to go over our picks for the ALCS and the NLCS. Alex, let's start in the AL. Who are your 2 teams, and who do you have winning?
I'm going to go with my one and my three seed that I chose. I'm going to go with the Red Sox and the Mariners. I like what the Red Sox have going. I do think that they actually will have a decent playoff rotation. I think you kind of talked about it when you're talking about regular season versus postseason for them. But I do love the Mariners pitching staff. I think this is the year they take that one step further past what they did last year and finally make a World Series for the first time ever. Go Mariners. I know you said it like 3 years ago and you were like, they're going to make the World
Come on,
Series, and you
man.
were wrong. So I'm probably going to be wrong, but we'll say Seattle.
Yeah, so the thing is, we talked about this copying earlier, and I don't know how we have the same one because I put the Red Sox as a wild card, but I have the Mariners over the Red Sox. Like, there's just no way. You can't make this stuff up.
We did
Uh,
not discuss this at all.
but I will say, the thing you point to, I know we talked about the Red Sox lineup, at least I talked about not being in the regular season. I don't think they're going to be top 5 in the AL, honestly. But in the playoffs, if they can get some home run power somehow, it limits the games. They're going to play some low scoring games. I feel confident in the rotation. Um, at least the first 3, yeah, Sonny Gray,
And
Ranger, and Crochet. If you get a fourth, if Brian Bayo can pitch a playoff game, that would be great. But yeah, I mean, I like the Mariners.
I also with so you have the Mariners winning too
I do.
that
Yeah.
series. I
I'm not
also
going
will
to change
say
mine now.
on the Red Sox, I will say the defense as well is going to play a part. We saw it last year against the Yankees, how that was a reason why they were in that series, in some cases compared to the Yankees' bad defense. But also you saw Willie Abreu hit a couple homers in the WBC. I mean, if you can get a guy like that to translate in addition to your Roman Anthony's and whatnot,
I'll toss one
something.
more pitcher name in there. Connolly Early is going to be a
Yeah.
big name to watch. I believe he's the third starter in the rotation to begin the year. He's a big one. So, yes, with that
Let's
said,
let's
and
go to your NL. Let's have you start so I don't copy
ooh,
you.
okay, I like that. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to have the Dodgers in the NLCS,
I also have the Dodgers in the NLCS.
but they're gonna lose to the New York Mets. How about that?
Okay. You know what? We almost chose the same thing. I was debating the Mets. I have I've done all the math on all this with based on where I had my seating, and I have the Dodgers beating the Mets in the division series, but I have them losing to the Philadelphia Phillies in the CS. So we
Ooh.
both have an NL East team coming out of the NLCS over the Dodgers. So not quite the same, but it should make for another interesting one. I like the Phillies as a playoff experienced team, and I think that's something that can certainly carry them forward, and they can kind of get rid of some of the demons of Orion Kerkering throwing to the backstop in the division series last year that lost them the wild card,
And
no,
and
the
them not
division
hitting,
series. Yeah,
by the way.
that also did happen.
Yeah,
So
so not gonna
you
put
know,
on the player, but
again, I did say this felt like one of the last go arounds for this team. Real Muto's back on a contract just to sort of see him out. He's, on the last legs. Harper, as Dave Dombrowski likes to mention, is again getting older. There's just a lot of age to this team, and Alec Bowman, Bryson Stott are both nearing the end of their team control.
last
So
dance vibes.
it does feel like this is going to be their last chance to try and win a World Series after, making it a couple years ago and losing to the Astros.
All right, so we have similar teams. So, do you want to do? I'll go. I'll go first. Actually, we got the Mets and the
Go for it.
Mariners. The Mets haven't won in a billion years. The Mariners have never won. Let's go with the Mariners in 7 games. World
I
Series MVP is. I haven't thought about this.
I haven't thought about it either,
We'll
so if
go.
you want to wait,
I'll wait. I'll wait. I'll wait.
I'll let you think about it because I've got my World Series winner, but I also need time to think about my MVP. I have the Phillies actually winning the World Series. I love the
Wow.
pitching staff beating the Mariners. Um, And yeah, why don't you figure out your MVP while I take a quick thought?
We're gonna go MVP. Man, I want to just go outrageous here. Is this outrageous? Dominic Canzone.
You know what? Sure, man. Why not?
He makes an amazing play in the field and has a clutch home run. It's going to be a low scoring series. And that's where I think it gives it to a hitter who had the big hit compared to a starter who possibly pitched great twice.
And that's where I'm debating between whether I go with a pitcher that's great twice or a bat. I will say I was really tempted to go Brandon Marsh just because we've talked a lot about Brandon Marsh over the
Yeah.
last several years, especially when they were in the playoffs, well, in the World Series last time. I'm gonna go with Adolis Garcia as your World Series MVP, a guy that had some big moments in the playoffs for the Rangers, has seen himself take a step back last year, really need to take a
I like
one-year
that.
deal here with the Phillies. A little prove it in a team full of stars, your Schwarbers, your Harpers, and whatnot, Trey Turner, and a good rotation. It's gonna be Adolis Garcia, a guy that's proven, but not that tip top name.
Yeah, I mean, that's more realistic than what I have,
It
actually.
is, but then I guess I have to go Brandon Marsh. I'm sorry.
Nah, you're just gonna just toss someone out of the bullpen and they're gonna be the MVP. Nah,
It's gonna be
you're
Brad
good.
Keller. Brad
Garcia.
Keller.
Garcia's your pick. Let's move on
Yes.
to awards, MVP, Cy Young, AL Rookie of the Year, NL Rookie of the Year. Let's start AL MVP. I'm just gonna say it's gonna be Aaron Judge.
Actually, before we get to
Yep.
this, I do have one question for you.
Yeah.
because it feels like, based on last year and recent history, we've got four award winners from 2020, 25. Just looking at Cy Young and MVP, I feel like they were pretty head and shoulders above everybody else. Judge was the only race that was really close, and even then, that took a heroic effort from Cal Raleigh to even be in the zip code. How many of those guys repeat again this year between Judge, Otani, Skeens, and Scooble? Because it feels, on the one hand, almost inevitable, but also baseball is baseball, and it's hard to repeat uh, an award win, and we haven't seen too many, even with Judge, Otani, and Scooble doing dominant stretches.
I would say 100% chance of two. Say good
I
chance
like
of
it.
good chance of three. I think four. We'll get into it. I'd say less than 50% chance. But here's the thing, about the MLB compared to other sports is people have no problem voting the same player, MVP again. In other sports, there feels like there's a little bit more of a, I forgot what they call it,
Outer
voter
fatigue.
fatigue. Yep, just thought of it now. But there's a little bit more of voter fatigue. I don't think that happens that much in the MLB. Because it would have been a thing last year when Cal Raleigh had the best hitting season for a catcher ever, and it didn't. So, with that being said, I will have Aaron Judge. It's the AL MVP. Do you want to do top three as well?
Dale, why don't we do top three?
I'm going to have Bobby Witt in second. I think he's going to translate what he did at Team USA over to the season. I think he's a star at shortstop. That helps his WAR as well. Um, and then in third, man, I want to put this guy third, but I just don't think the team's going to be good enough. I'm going to say it anyways. Gunnar Henderson.
Hunter Henderson. I
Yeah.
like it. I like that list. I'm gonna have the same top two, but in a different order. I'm gonna say Bobby Witt ends up as your MVP again because
Wow.
he fell so short with one of the best seasons we've seen from a shortstop ever, and lost to Aaron Judge. I think this is the year he overcomes Judge and wins. I think it's so hard for Aaron Judge to win four MVPs in 5 years, and win three straight. I just, I like he could do it. He probably will do it. I'm going to be honest. I think it's probably likely, but I want to go Bobby Witt. I want to be different. That's part of this. A lot of these picks, I want to be different, even if I think it's more likely that the repeat happens. Judge in second. I don't think he's falling much further. I'm going to go Roman Anthony third. Young guys struggle sometimes to win MVP. I think again, if I've got the Red Sox winning the division, going to the World
Yeah.
Series or going to the CS, I think he's a big part. One name I want to put out there, just as a this would be fun little dark horse pick, Yordan Alvarez. If he can be healthy, a healthy Yordan Alvarez, I'm saying he'd be a fun guy to
I
have.
love
I'd,
that.
I'd love to see that. So I don't
All
know.
right.
He's not my top three, but dark horse.
I think I'm gonna have to change my Henderson to Vlad, just because
It's
where
fair.
I projected the Orioles at. Um, I think it'd be hard for him to get it. I know Vlad plays first, but he also hits a lot of tanks. I'll change mine to Vlad. We'll put Gunner. We'll give him fourth.
Fair
Um,
enough. Cy,
Cy Young in the AL.
yeah,
I'm gonna go with Garrett Crochet at one. That was the one that I think could change. I think he could have a monster season. I'm gonna put Scooble at two. If he gets lower than two, I'll be shocked. And then at three, I want to put Max Free just because he's like the one steady piece for the Yankees rotation to begin this season. So I think I'm going to put Free to three. I mean, I could put a Mariners pitcher, but yeah, that's why I have.
I like it. I also would agree with you that there's just something for me that says that as much as I think Scooble, um, again, could easily, repeat with a third straight Cy Young. I think this one is where the race could be changed. I also have Crochet winning the Cy Young in the American League. I also have Scooble second just because I don't see him dropping. My third place, just like you went with a Mariner because he's your one seed. I'm going with a Royal from my two seed team, and I'm going to go with Cole Reagans. He was a guy that I thought was going to be in this mix last year. He got hurt only
Yep.
through 13 games, and he had some struggles. His ERA was in the mid fours, but the FIP was 2.5. So there was a lot of the underlying stuff says he was still really good. 2.1 F4 full season. You're talking about a guy that could push that five range and be in the mix. And the strikeout stuff is there. So he's my number three.
I like that. I like that. Do you want to go to AL Rookie of the Year? Just go
Yeah,
through.
let's keep it in the American League. I'm gonna go with the guy that to win it that I said to myself, I don't think anyone can vouch for me. But I said to myself at the end of last year that this guy, or end of last year into the offseason, that this guy was going to be my rookie of the year pick in 2026, and I'm sticking with it. I'm going to go with the Royals' Carter Jensen.
Mm,
Catcher, going to be splitting some time with Salvi. His Savant page was blood red for the last little bit of the season he was in. He's the team's top prospect, smashed the cover off the ball in 60 ABs. A lot of guys like him, and I want to be different from some of the other names that we're going to be hearing. So I think he's going to be the rookie of the year. Number two, I'm going to go with Kevin McGonigal. Announced that he is going to be on the opening day roster a couple days ago for the Tigers. One of the best hitting prospects, pure hitting in all of baseball. And then I'm going to go with Tetsuya Imai coming over from Japan to pitch for the Astros. I think we've seen pitchers from Japan transition a lot easier to Major League Baseball than the batters have done. And so I think he could be the one that transitions best out of the guys that came over, Akamoto and Murakami being the others in the American League. And I think he could be a really good performer for that Astros team and put up a season maybe closer to what we saw from like a Kodai Senga a few years back.
I like that. See, the interesting thing about a lot of these names is most people don't know them. I mean, there's some names that you're probably not going to recognize that are going to be in the race. But for me,
Like Drake Baldwin last year.
yeah.
I was not expecting that at all. And he popped out of nowhere, really.
But I have from the White Sox Munetaka Murakami winning the Rookie of the Year. I think the White Sox could get some recognition. I think he would be the easy one to pick. Um, I guess Trey Savage in second. I mean, he pitched well last year, so I think that helps. And then I guess Samuel Basayo in third. I think he did a little bit last year. Sometimes this is easily the hardest one to project, just because you don't know how guys are going to translate, and even if they've been hitting great AAA, it's not always a guarantee.
And several times we've seen guys that struggle early get demoted, and therefore they just don't play enough games. They don't stick around, or they get called up late and sort of either pop up out of nowhere, or at least are a well-known prospect that was just not in the projections at the beginning. I mean, think about like Jackson Holliday. I mean, he struggled mightily when he
Yeah,
started, and he would have been expected to be, oh, he's that Rookie of the Year
yeah, he might have been
finalist.
the favorite.
Probably was, as the
Yeah.
number one prospect in baseball. And, you know, as we go to the National League, we could see a little bit of something like that again. Let's start with the Rookie of the Year and move up to the other two
Okay.
after that. So, National League Rookie of the Year, do you want me to go first? Do you want to take it?
I'll go first. Now this is the interesting one because JJ Weatherholt is going to be with the Cardinals, so that's a big one. I want to pick Connor Griffin in first. I saw enough in spring training. Maybe it was the home runs against the Red Sox. I think he's an electric prospect. Can just crush the ball. Really fun player. I have him in first. I mean, Weatherhold in second, and then we'll go Nolan McLean in third. I like what he's doing. I think he's going to be a big part of a successful season for the Mets.
I like it. I like it. I have Griffin on my list. He's in third for me. I think just the fact that he's not going to start the season in the bigs is going to drop him down. I
Yeah,
think when he
that's
makes
fair.
the bigs, I think he'll look good. But I think it's going to be very similar to the Paul Skeens situation where he starts in AAA, forces the issue by
Uphill
mid-May.
battle. Yeah.
Um, and second, I'm going with one of my most intriguing players for the Reds, Sal Stewart.
Ooh.
Came up last year,
Yeah.
18 games, hit five homers, mashed the ball. Again, it's a lot like Carter Jensen, where the quality of contact was phenomenal. Minuscule sample size. But he's a guy that hits the ball in the zone a lot. The chase was a bit high in those 18 games, but he's a guy that doesn't swing and miss in the zone a lot, so he can hit the ball pretty darn hard. And number one, I am going to go JJ Weatherholt. Again, it's a lot. He's a guy that's a lot like McGonagall for me, where it's just
Yeah.
he's a guy that can hit in the minors, and made the opening day roster, and he's going to get plenty of run on a bad team.
Nice. I like that a lot. So, do you want to flip on over to the NL side?
Yeah, let's go to the NL side. I think it's hard to bet against Paul Skeens here. I really want to, and I'm going to just for fun, but I do think it's likely he does. Third place, I got Freddie Peralta. Why not? Over new place in Queens. I like it. Second place, I'm going to go Paul Skeens. Again, I don't think he's going to be very far off. I'm going to go Logan Webb. I want Logan Webb to win a Cy Young. I know a lot of of the main analysts are saying Logan Webb is that perfect example of guy that's going to be so darn good in his career and never win a Cy Young just because he doesn't have the sexy numbers. I say, screw that. He's going to do it. I'm not sure he will, but I want him to win. So I'm going with my heart here, as I've done so many times in Cy Youngs and gotten it way wrong.
I'm gonna pick Skeets.
You should. You should. You should.
Straightforward answer. Logan Webb, give me second. Christopher Sanchez third. Man, I love the amount of choices for the NL Cy Young. Do you want to go to the NL MVP?
Yeah, let's go to the MVP. This is the one that I think is the most cut and dry for the winner, because if Otani puts up an ERA in the fours, he'll still win MVP strictly by pitching at all. Basically, I just there's it's almost impossible to argue against Otani here unless he has a catastrophic season. I don't think he will. Now that he's pitching full time, like those last 2 years, those were the years to get him. You had to get him the last 2 years. You didn't. Sorry, baseball, your fault. Um, I do think Acuna is going to be my number two. I love Acuna this year. I'm a big fan of what he can do. You're smiling, which makes me think you have Acuna number two. But do you have Juan Soto number three, Adam Oppenheim? We'll find out. I have Juan Soto finishing third. Again, those are three of the best players of the last 7 years in the National League right now.
I'm gonna go with Ronald Acuna one. Why
I love
not?
it. I love it. I love it.
And it gets into my bold prediction a little bit, but I'll say he's gonna have almost as good of a season as he did in 2023 when he won the MVP. And he's gonna not only keep the stolen bases right around 70, he's gonna go up to 50 home runs, a 50-70 season. If he gets that, how do you not give him the MVP? A lot
My
of
goodness.
hypotheticals, but man, I want to
Some
see
would think
someone other
you're
than
a big fan of
Ohtani.
the SEC with all those
Yeah, I
hypotheticals.
know. If, another hypothetical win for Ronald Acuna Jr. Not really, because he doesn't get a lot of those. Acuna at one, Ohtani at two, Juan Soto at number three. So, yeah.
I like it. I do think Soto in third is a good pick. There's a couple really good guys that could be around there as well. National League's good shape. It's in good shape.
Yeah, no, those are fun to pick. Last thing we have, I think, is bold predictions, right?
Yeah. And I have done a bold prediction for every single team. I'm not going to read them all here. Like once again, a shameless plug for the Substack behind home plate that I've been doing stuff for. Um, why don't you start? You already did a bold prediction, I suppose. Um, but I'll let you kind of choose my bold prediction here. Is there a team you want one for?
Let's go with the Angels.
The Angels. I like this one actually. I went Mike Trout is going to have a 2020 season. I know that seems like a low bar, but given where Mike Trout's been, he's been
Hmm.
hurt. I'd love to go 30-30. The problem is I don't think he's going to reach the 30 bags. 30 homers, I could see it. 30-20 just doesn't sound cool. He's back in center field. I think that'll bring some normalcy for him. He's already hitting like a 29.9 sprint speed in spring training. He's talked about just how much better his legs feel. And a healthy Mike Trout is good for baseball. I want him to go 2020. I'd love to see him go 30-30, but that's a bit extreme. Let's
Yeah.
start let's start with semi bold, and then we can go to on fuego bold next year if he does it.
Yeah, he's only stolen 14 bags over the last 6 seasons. So yeah, I would consider that bold for sure. I didn't realize. I mean, Well, I know he played a lot last year, but he only had two stolen bases. Still 26 home runs though.
Yeah.
So
So I want to see Mike Trout steal some bags, man.
you don't have him for MVP though? That'd be bold.
Oh,
Oh,
no, that would be bold.
that's some
That would
weak
be very
sauce over
bold.
there. All right, you want me to go with mine again?
Go for it. Go for it.
Now I said this one last year, and I still think it could happen. Two perfect games in one season. We had the Domingo Germán perfect game. No one remembers that. Let's be real.
No,
So,
no.
the last one I believe was Felix Hernandez.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was the most recent one.
That being said,
Who throws one of them?
so last year I said, I believe one of them I said Joe Ryan. This year I'm gonna go with a guy from the Mariners, like a Logan Gilbert.
I like
I,
that.
I
I
think he
do
can
like
be
that.
efficient. Brian Wu didn't work into deep into a lot of games last season, so otherwise I would have picked him. But I'll go Logan Gilbert one, and then the other one, a guy like Hunter Green.
I like it. I've actually instead of making you pick this next bold prediction, I actually have a no-hitter prediction as a part of this.
Okay.
And I'm going to go to the Phillies. I'm going to say even year Aaron Nola strikes again. Aaron Nola, he only performs when that number is even on the calendar. I don't know why it is, but Aaron Nola is going to throw a no-hitter. Not a perfect game, but a no-hitter. He works deep into games. And again, look at the last few even years for him. A 3.57 ERA in 24, a 3.25 ERA in 2022, a 3.28 in 2020, which is kind of fake, but still, and a 2.37 ERA going back to 2018. Even year Aaron Nola. Believe it, folks.
Wow. I like that. I like that. All right, we only have a few minutes left. This is my last
One more
one.
each.
I was thinking about this last night. Man, would this be unbelievable? You have no clue where I'm going to go with this.
I have no clue
New
where you're going to go with
new
this.
system in place. ABS. There will be a call in the playoffs that ends on an ABS call.
I I like it. I
That
like it.
ends a
I'm just
playoff
imagining
game.
guys streaming out of the dugout, and it's
Oh, and
no,
not
no,
only
no
that, it's
clue.
going to be a close game. It's not going to be this 7 run. It's going to be a 1 or 2 run game. There's going to be guys on. It's going to be inside the zone on the outside corner. They challenge it,
Ooh,
and then boom, ball game
I like that.
right there.
Where do I want to go? You know, I'm gonna go with one that I don't necessarily I just think would be wild. I'm gonna say that Tony Vitello suffers a a slightly similar fate to another famous college coach going pro, and say he gets fired this year in his first year. I told you I'm not believing it. You know, it's not going to
That's
have the
funny.
off the field issues of Urban Meyer, but it just screams the guy that was really good in college struggles to command a professional setting of players. And maybe he's great. I'm sorry. I'm just saying this is bold. 1 year, one and done. They gave him a 3-year deal. What the heck?
Well, we're going to
Uh,
need apology once the Giants are better than the Dodgers this
Okay,
season.
I'll go do one on a positive note just to finish it out.
Yep.
I'll say that that Mason Miller has the lowest reliever ERA since Zach Britton's 0.54 in 2016. Mason Miller's going to go off this year.
Man, that Zach Britton season was amazing. I know we're supposed to be talking about Mason Miller, but
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's
that season
very
was
good.
incredible with the O's. So with that said, that was our MLB preview. We hope you enjoyed going over the division predictions, what we have, ALCS, NLCS, World Series picks, and then the awards, MVP, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, and some bold predictions to finish it off. So with that said, we'll probably be back next week to do a show to recap, how the first week
Week
of
one.
baseball is going. What'd you say?
Week one.
Week one. That's right. That is right. With that being said, for my partner, Alex Hynes, I'm Adam Oppenheim. We'll see you next time on Double A Baseball.